Hi, this is Rich Tafel with Public Squared's tutorial on how Washington works, how the political system works, and how a bill becomes law. The way to look at this video is learning how to speak American politics language. This is a very different language than you speak at home. It's the language of Capitol Hill. And as you know, when you speak the native language in a culture, the chances of having an impact increase.
The Minister may be able to speak Spanish, the Minister may be able to speak Irish, but she clearly does not understand the language of consensus.
Also crucial for democracy is that we understand how our government works, and even though we've all been taught it, it's always good to have reminders.
What country did we fight in the Revolutionary War?
France.
In what month do we vote for president?
It's in the fall. Yeah. October? September?
Yeah. Who elects Congress?
The Congress, the president.
How many stars on the flag?
32.
There's a flag right up there. See that one?
Mm-hmm.
How many stars on that flag?
It's moving too fast to count them.
It's moving too fast to count.
There are three branches of government in the United States. There's the legislative, executive, and judicial. The legislative branches is where bills become laws. That's the House and the Senate, which we refer to as the Congress. The executive branch is the president, and he appoints the cabinet secretaries that operate under the executive branch. And the third branch is judicial, and that's where we have our courts, with the most famous and the highest being the Supreme Court. And these three branches of government are set in motion to keep each other in check and balance. The bulk of the work that we'll be doing together will be focused on the legislative branch. However, we could also very likely be involved in working with regulations within agencies, and that would be the executive branch. Let's talk about the Congress, the legislative branch. The U.S. Congress is bicameral, consisting of a Senate and a House of Representatives. They meet in the U.S. Capitol. Congressional seats in the House are apportioned
among the several states, according to their respective numbers.
Apportionment. The dividing of seats in the House of Representatives among the 50 states. But how does it actually work? Since the 1940 census, Congress has used the method of equal proportions, which follows this formula.
A sub n equals P over the square root.
Okay, don't worry about the math. Just think of the formula as an apportioning machine. First, the Constitution calls for each of the 50 states to have at least one seat. So subtract 50 from the current House total of 435 and you have 385 seats left. Next, the apportionment machine ranks the states by population according to the census. Then the machine starts giving out seats. After each seat is distributed, the machine re-ranks the remaining states based on the formula until all seats are distributed. This process ensures that each congressional district from Maryland to California has roughly the same number of people. In 1790, each House member represented only about 34,000 people. In 2000, each member represented on average 647,000 people. Since the first census, the decennial count has been the basis for our representative form of government. And as our country grows, the apportionment process ensures equal representation for all, just like the Founding Fathers planned.
House members are up for election every 2 years. Senators are elected on staggered terms, where only a third are up every 2 years. Let's face it, an important motive for most members of Congress is getting reelected. So you will need to follow what's going on in elections to really understand the motivation of the people you'll be advocating with. If you're too busy to follow elections, at least follow the Taiwanese animation news reports of American politics. They're hysterical.
Last-minute attack ads seeking to paint Paul as an actual Buddhist did not help. The Senate race could be Lisa Murkowski. if enough people could spell her name correctly. Meg Whitman failed in her bid to become governor, even after spending $140 million of her own money. Next time, maybe she should try looking on Carly Fiorina, another Republican female ex-CEO running in California, also came up short in her Senate race. Barbara Boxer keeps her seat. The dream of poor spending all the time.
It's easy to get cynical about politics, but in this course we will be teaching you how to reach out to people's better angels, their higher purposes on the hill. There is more we can accomplish than you could ever imagine if you can tap into people's good motives when we're working on our cause.
I think it's an answer to those who think this is just a bundle of cynicism down here. Well, it is anything but, because we feel as deeply about these matters as do the people.
Legislation cannot be enacted without the consent of both the House and the Senate. It actually has to be agreed by both. The House and the Senate both have certain powers that are unique to them. For example, only the Senate approves presidential appointments, while only the House can initiate impeachment. At the start of every 2-year session, the House elects their leader, who they call Speaker. And the job of the Speaker is primarily to preside over debates. In the Senate, they do not have a Speaker. They have a majority leader. And technically, the Vice President of the United States is the President of the Senate.
God bless you, Speaker Dana.
Both the House and the Senate operate in a day-to-day manner through the use of committees and subcommittees. This is really important because this is really where the action takes place. So later in this course, when we target which members we would like to focus our energy on and where we would target, we will be looking at the committees and the subcommittees. These committees draft up legislation that eventually comes to the floor of either the House or the Senate for a vote. So the committees are very important, and the members on the committees tend to have more expertise on the topic that they serve on.
Yes, they call me Bill, and I'm standing here on Capitol. Oh!
One thing that will be important to us is understanding how a bill becomes law. And when a bill starts off in the House, it's given the title HR, referring to House of Representatives, and then a number after that. The Senate will start with an S. This is important language for the House and the Senate. It's very helpful if you can say, I am here to talk about HR 2473. In fact, I want to talk about Section 3, Paragraph 2, and if you can get down to the sentence, you're really beginning to speak the language of the Hill, and you can really have a focused meeting, as opposed to walking into a meeting and saying, I want to change the health bill. So members of Congress introduce bills, they place them in what's called the hopper on the clerk's desk, they're assigned numbers, they're sent to the referred committee, which then really does the work. They study it, they hold hearings, they'll have testimony, they'll do research on it.
The gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Flake, will each control 20 minutes.
I'd like to thank all of you for being here today.
The committee that has jurisdiction over it is voted on, and if the committee passes it out, it then goes to the floor of either the House or the Senate, depending on which committee was hearing it. One thing we might want to look out for is the opportunity to testify before the committee. This is a very powerful way for advocates to have an impact on the members of the committee. So after passage from both sides, it's then enrolled, and the bill goes to the President, and the President has the right to sign it or veto it, or return it to Congress with objections. A vetoed bill can still become law if each House of Congress votes to override the veto with a 2/3 majority. Also, the President can do nothing. not sign it, nor veto it, and the bill becomes law automatically after 10 days. But it's a little complicated. If Congress adjourns during that period, the president can veto legislation passed by Congress by ignoring it, and that's called a pocket veto. So these are the various ways a bill becomes law and how the legislative process works. Knowing this language will be crucial as you become an advocate for the policy changes that you want to make in the world. You will have the ability, by the end of this course, to really speak the lingo and be understood by those in the political realm. In later courses, we're going to go into much more detail into the work of the executive branch, particularly in agencies of importance to the work that we're going to do. Today, you've just heard how the legislative process works. In the future, we'll go through how the executive process works and which agencies we should focus on to change regulations. Okay, let's go out with a little fun. In 1975, Schoolhouse Rock aired this cartoon to educate kids about how a bill becomes law. I think they did a great job, and I warn you, after you hear this a couple times, it's a really hard tune to get out of your head. So enjoy.
You sure gotta climb a lot of steps to get to this Capitol building here in Washington. Well, I wonder who that sad little scrap of paper is.
I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee, but I know I'll be a law someday. At least I hope and pray that I will, but today I am still just a bill.
Gee, Bill, you certainly have a lot of patience and courage.
Well, I got this far. When I started, I wasn't even a bill. I was just an idea. Some folks back home decided they wanted a law passed, so they called their local congressman, and he said, "You're right, there ought to be a law." Then he sat down and wrote me out and introduced me to Congress, and I became a bill. And I'll remain a bill until they decide to make me a law. I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill, and I got as far as Capitol Hill. Well, now I'm stuck in committee, and I'll sit here and wait while a few key congressmen discuss and debate whether they should let me be a law. I hope and pray that they will, but today I am still just a bill.
Listen to those congressmen arguing. Is all that discussion and debate about you?
Yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones. Most bills never even get this far. I hope they decide to report on me favorably, otherwise I may die.
Die?
Yeah, die in committee. Oh, but it looks like I'm going to live. Now I go to the House of Representatives and they vote on me.
If they vote yes, what happens?
Then I go to the Senate and the whole thing starts all over again.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And if they vote for me on Capitol Hill, well, then I'm off to the White House where I'll wait in a line with a lot of other bills for the president to sign. And if he signs me, then I'll be a law. I hope and pray that he will. But today I am still just a bill.
You mean even if the whole Congress says you should be a law, the president can still say no?
Yes, that's called a veto. If the president vetoes me, I have to go back to Congress and they vote on me again, and by that time you're so
By
old.
that time, it's very unlikely that you become a law. It's not easy to become a law, is it?
No, but how I hope and pray that I will. But today I am still just a bill.
He signed your bill. Now you're a law.
Oh, yeah.